Hello, my name is Charles Webster Baer, and today is February 25th, 2014, and I'm in Bend, Oregon, USA. And today, I'd like to talk about gig. A gig is my website, globalinternetgovernment.com. And I created this website in Portland, Oregon in the year 2000. And what I was trying to do is I was trying to bring the IMF and the UN together on one website, the International Monetary Fund and the United Nations. So what gig is going to do is gig is going to monitor every financial transaction by every government on the planet Earth. And this is going to promote transparency and accountability and freedom of speech. And much like the IMF does, the International Monetary Fund. And gig is going to allow all humans to participate in and contribute to what the IMF is doing, which is saving the planet. So that's gig. Gig is the future of the world media, and the slogan of gig is Save Earth Now. Um, so that's half a gig, the monitoring every financial transaction by every government on the planet, like the IMF. That's half of gig. That's the freedom of speech online for all human beings, part of gig. The other half of gig is the important half, and that is the United Nations, the UN part of gig. Gig's also going to monitor every country in terms of how they deal with the issue of female reproductive rights, women's reproductive rights. Now, this is a major issue. This is the crucial issue of this millennium because ideally, all women will eventually have 100% reproductive rights legally, financially, culturally, and women will realize that there's too many people on the planet and they'll stop having children because that's their decision to make. And then that will create a significant and sustained decline in the human population, which will give the environment an opportunity to heal itself, and it will give the environment an opportunity to survive. And because the human race cannot survive without the environment, this will also give the human race an opportunity to survive. And this is what will save the planet. In other words, gig feels that the amount of humans on the planet right now, which is almost 8 billion, is too many and it's unsustainable. And it's a suicide course. We're killing the planet and thus killing ourselves because we can't survive without the environment. So it's the policy of gig that instead of the population on Earth going up, which is where it's going now, it should be going down. And in order for it to go down, one of the ways, the best way for it to go down would be for all females to have total reproductive rights and control of their own body and be able to decide for themselves whether or not they want to have kids, and using logic and common sense, realizing that no, they don't, because it doesn't make any sense to make more people when there's already too many people. So that's the other half of gig, women's reproductive rights, the United Nations part of saving the planet. And gig provides people an opportunity to contribute to and participate in what the United Nations is doing, which is saving the planet by promoting women's reproductive rights. So gig supports and promotes what the IMF and the UN does. And they make it easy to understand what the IMF and the UN is doing. They augment and assist in what the IMF and the UN is doing. And they help speed up the process a little bit, because this is a very time-sensitive issue. In other words, we want to hurry up and get this stuff handled sooner rather than later. So you may have noticed what Europe has been doing over the past few decades. They've been unifying economically and politically through economic treaties and economic arrangements. And that's a good thing. That's what's going to happen to the whole planet at some point. And so GIG would like to start that up in America and Southeast Asia and parts of Africa and the Middle East. It's a continental currency, and basically GIG wants to do with all of America, North America, South America, Central America, and the Caribbean, what Europe did with Europe, which is unify everybody into one economic community. In other words, GIG wants NAFTA for everybody in South America, Central America, Caribbean, and North America. And GIG wants to take it, all the way, turning it into one currency, from Alaska to Argentina, from Montreal to Santiago, exactly the way Europe did it. And the way Europe did it was all the countries that wanted to participate had an election, and 2/3 of the majority of the people said they wanted to participate in this. In order to participate in this, you need to have a constitutional amendment of a balanced budget amendment. In other words, it's illegal to go into debt. That's what Europe did, and that's why it works in Europe. So countries that want to participate in this have to have a constitutional balanced budget amendment, which means it's illegal to go into debt, which means you can't do it. Which means if you do it with inflation or whatever, then the politicians go to jail because they're breaking the law. Yeah. So that's how GIG wants to do that. And so GIG's working on that as well. And that's what the IMF is doing. GIG is just a mirror of the IMF and the UN. It's just GIG's just a platform, a tool to allow everybody to be part of what's going on in the IMF and the UN, to understand it simply and to, comment on it, and to help it out and provide information about what's going on the quote ground, unquote. So GIG is the future of the world media, assuming, of course, that freedom exists in the future, and I am making that assumption. Um, there's also a deal with Gig called President of Earth. Now, every year on December 1st is an election for President of Earth on globalinternetgovernment.com. And in order to vote, you have to go to globalinternetgovernment.com and go to one of the chat rooms and register. And then on December 1st, Hawaiian time, you have to post a topic that says, I'm voting for this person for President of Earth. And the person who gets the most votes wins. And you don't have to be a human being to run for President of Earth. And whoever is elected serves for the calendar year January 1st to January 1st. Now, the President of Earth is a unpaid employee of global internet government and has no power. And the President of Earth supports the Gig agenda, which is freedom of speech online and women's reproductive rights. Now, a lot of people say, hey, Charles, how the hell are you going to get all this information? And I say to those people, well, a lot of the information is out there. A lot of the information is on Wikipedia. A lot of the information will be media speculation, which means we're guessing. These are unofficial numbers. A lot of the information will be provided to us from sources, anonymous and otherwise. And, Gig's not saying it's perfect. Gig's just saying it's better than everybody else. So that's Gig. And, this is just a very short summary of what Gig is. I haven't covered everything, but I've covered the main points. And you've been listening to me for 13 minutes, so congratulations. You've got a very high threshold for pain. Anyway, I could stop talking if I wanted to. I don't really want to. I, Charles Webster Baer, am running for President of the United States of America. Now, I ran for President of the USA in 2002 and 2012, and those were unsuccessful campaigns. But I'm still running, and I'm running in 2016, and I'm running in 2020. So please vote for me. Thank you. I'm a libertarian, which means I'm for less government, across the board. Dig it. I think the government's too large, and if you think the U.S. government's too small, then yeah, right on. And let me tell you a little bit about myself, since we're coming on to the 15-minute mark. I don't think we'll talk about myself. I'm 45 years old, and never been married, don't have any kids. I'm straight, thank you. I'm a Buddhist, which I don't consider to be a religion. I consider it to be a philosophy. I was born and raised in Santa Cruz, California, on the west side, original west side representative. And I went to high school in Newport, Rhode Island. And in 1994, I graduated from the University of Hawaii on the Big Island at Hilo with a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science. Then I moved to Santa Fe, New Mexico, which kicked ass. And I'm the only person I know of that was a journalist for Surfer Magazine and Snowboarder Magazine in this millennium and in the last millennium. And then in 1999, I moved to Portland, Oregon, and I created Global Internet Government in the spring of 2000. And I've been rocking gig ever since. And that's what I do at this point, is rock gig. Because, you know, I dig gig, man. What can I say? It's just, I'm down with the program. And, you know, you too may be a giga and not even know it. A giga, Gigga, is somebody who supports gig, Global Internet Government. And if you support freedom of speech online and women's reproductive rights, then you support gig. So if you support freedom of speech online and women's reproductive rights, then you're a giga. And if you're a giga and you don't have any kids, then you're a real giga. So you may be a real giga and not even know it. And if you are a real giga, or even a giga, congratulations. You're part of the solution. So everything's going gig's way this millennium. It's simply a question of, will everything go gig's way fast enough to save the planet? And I say, yes, it will. I'm very optimistic and positive about the future, about my own personal future and the future of the human race and the future of the environment. It hasn't always been that way, but it is now, and it'll stay that way. So we're coming on 20 minutes here, so I think I'll get out of here before we hit the 20-minute mark. But thank you very much for paying attention to this video, and I hope you have a very nice day. And peace and love. And go Seahawks.